Hey, here are 5 harmful things I've noticed about ableism. Number 1, it limits access and opportunity. Ableism is discrimination or prejudice against people with disabilities. It continues to be a problem throughout the world despite the existence of laws intended to counteract such discrimination. Thanks to the Americans with Disabilities Act, wheelchair ramps and designated parking spaces are now commonplace in the U.S., but even here, the issue of accessibility goes well beyond that. People with visual or hearing impairments, or those who have intellectual disabilities, for example, often have a very hard time finding necessary accommodations. And people with disabilities also face employment discrimination. A survey conducted by Ghent University in Belgium in 2014 found that prospective employers were 48% less likely to respond favorably to applications from disabled people than they were to applications from non-disabled people, even when they were informed that they would be entitled to a government wage subsidy intended to encourage the hiring of people with disabilities. Number 2, it permeates our language. The pervasiveness of ableist attitudes is apparent in the words we use. Insults that refer to cognitive or physical disabilities are still often used even in relatively sensitive, enlightened circles. For instance, words like retarded, crazy, lame, and stupid, which I have recently been making an effort to phase out of my own vocabulary, which is the main reason why I no longer produce a series titled 5 Stupid Things. When I announced that particular change, some folks, perhaps some of you watching this right now, were confused. They said things like, "But you never used the word stupid to attack people, only to attack ideas. And I never intended to denigrate people with intellectual disabilities by using that word." But see, that's the thing about ableism. Number 3, it's often unintentional. And unintentional doesn't equal okay. Most people who use ableist language don't mean to insult people with disabilities. Most employers don't intend to treat job applicants with disabilities differently than job applicants without disabilities. Like racism and sexism, ableism is often the result of biases and double standards and ignorance of which we aren't consciously aware. But discrimination doesn't have to be willful to be harmful, and it shouldn't be those who aren't directly affected by ableism who decide what is and isn't counted as ableism, but rather those who have to contend with it every day. Number 4, it erases disabled people. One of the most harmful results of ableism is that it excludes people with disabilities from the conversation. Their needs aren't considered, their contributions aren't treated as important, their presence isn't acknowledged. One of the main reasons why something as basic as accessibility continues to be a problem is that decisions affecting accessibility are still made with only non-disabled people in mind. And if we as a society find it so easy to disregard the needs of, say, people who use wheelchairs or people with absent limbs, just imagine how much worse it is for those whose disabilities aren't so immediately apparent. People with chronic illnesses or learning disabilities, for example. If you, like me, are a non-disabled person, and a relatively privileged one at that, just try to imagine what it must be like to live in a society where you are almost always treated as either an afterthought or a problem. That doesn't seem like very much fun to me. In fact, it seems discouraging and exhausting. And that's not all. Number 5, it's isolating and alienating. As an able-bodied, neurotypical person, I have easy access to virtually any space I will ever need or want to enter. I have no idea what it feels like to worry about how I will get into a building, or whether there will be a place for me once I get in. I've never had to worry about whether I'll be able to see or hear or understand something. I've never had to deal with either the impatience or the misplaced pity of others. Ableism, especially when it comes to language, is often dismissed as being the result of oversensitivity, too much concern about the feelings of others, as though not wanting to inadvertently hurt the feelings of another person is somehow bad. But it's deeper than that. Ableism tells people with disabilities that they aren't welcome, that they aren't needed, that they aren't wanted. Ableism is oppressive, it's dehumanizing, it's harmful. And the only way we're ever going to do something about it is by taking the first step of noticing that it's there. The hardest part is picking only 5. Catch you next time. Hey folks, I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please like it and share it and subscribe to this channel if you're not subbed already. And also please consider helping me to make more videos like this one by supporting this channel through Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/Steve Shives to become a patron. Thanks for watching.